Good afternoon. My name is Corporal Jennifer Clark, and I want to thank you all for coming and calling in. Bon après-midi. Je m'appelle Caporal Jennifer Clark et je tiens à vous remercier d'être ici et de participer par téléconférence aujourd'hui. We have several media on our conference call line who will be listening and participating via speakerphone. Nous avons plusieurs médias sur notre ligne de téléconférence qui écouteront et participeront aussi. Today, Nova Scotia RCMP's Commanding Officer, Assistant Commissioner Lee Bergerman, and Chief Superintendent Chris Leather, who is Nova Scotia RCMP's Criminal Operations Officer, will provide an update on the incidents of April 18th and 19th. Aujourd'hui, la commissaire adjointe Lee Bergerman, commandant de la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse, et le surintendant principal Chris Leather, officier responsable des enquêtes criminelles de la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse, vont donner une mise à jour sur les incidents de 18 et 19 avril. They will provide their statements in English, then I will read both statements in French. Ils fourniront leur déclaration en anglais et je les fournirai en français. We will take questions following the statements. Nous répondrons aux questions suite à leur déclaration. Ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon. What happened this past weekend in our beautiful province can only be described as devastating. The sorrow in communities from coast to coast is palpable. I feel it, we feel it. We see candles lit in the windows and on the porches. The pain and heartache of all families and friends who have lost loved ones is incomprehensible and only made more difficult with COVID-19 pandemic among us. The opportunity to come together to provide comfort is not there. I and all of us in H Division RCMP extend our sympathies to all of those affected. We see the vigils across the province in honor of your loved ones and recognize your great loss, including the loss of RCMP Constable Heidi Stevenson, who is dedicated to protecting Nova Scotians and whose family is interwoven in the local community. The impact of the weekend's incidents will remain, and how it's changed us cannot be ignored. One of these impacts is understandable unease and for some fear. The incidents were unprecedented, not only in this province, but in this country. And there is no instruction book on how we should feel. What I can assure you is that all of us in every part of our division and in the communities across the province are dedicated to your safety and security, and we are here for you. I am very proud of the dedication of all employees in this division and their commitment to all Nova Scotians. This was never more on display than in our response this past weekend. From when our telecommunicators received the 911 calls and we arrived in Portapique to the extensive search for the suspect to when we stopped the gunman. Our officers were there to protect Nova Scotians. One of our jobs is to thoroughly investigate this tragic incident, and we are doing just that. We know that many of you have unanswered questions. We do too. We also know you expect us to do a good job, and we want to do a good job for you. We will need time to do that. You can be assured our investigative teams are working around the clock. Employees at every level are contributing to the investigation. We also have tremendous resource support from other provinces and our federal counterparts to help us in this investigation. We are grateful for their support. We feel your sorrow, but we also feel your support and your resilience, and thank you. Thank you for your condolences, your well wishes, and the many messages of support that we have received. Nova Scotia Strong is indeed accurate, and we are here for you. I will now turn this over to Chief Superintendent Chris Leather for an update on the investigation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon. I also want to express my condolences to all the families affected by this tragedy. This is a difficult time in our province, and we will all find our own way to get through this. I want to assure all Nova Scotians that we are dedicating all the resources necessary to conduct a thorough investigation. This investigation is complex. This will take time, as we want to be as thorough as possible. We have asked for and received support from the Canadian Armed Forces for equipment to help shelter those conducting crime scene investigations and resource support from other provinces and our federal counterparts. Nova Scotians have lots of questions about what happened, why it happened, what things were done, and what wasn't. You can be assured that we have those same questions and we'll be seeking answers through our investigation. There have also been several questions about why the emergency alert was not used. From that initial call, our response was dynamic and fluid, with members using their training to assess what was going on while encountering the unimaginable. Our critical incident command staff were processing fast-changing information related to what was unfolding in front of them and what they were being told of. We responded to a possible shooting at 10:26 p.m. on Saturday evening. It was determined to be a homicide, and we immediately started searching the area and advising residents to stay inside. We used Twitter to alert residents of a firearms complaint in the Portapique area and to stay in. As we searched the area, we discovered additional victims and several structure fires. We established a perimeter, and our search continued into the evening and early morning hours on Sunday. In response to new information indicating that the suspect was not in the secure perimeter, at 8:02 a.m. on Sunday, the RCMP began providing real-time information on its Nova Scotia RCMP Twitter account. Twitter allowed our information to be shared, followed, and broadcast by local, provincial, and national news outlets. At 10:15 a.m., Nova Scotia provincial emergency management officials contacted the RCMP to offer the use of the public emergency alerting system. We were in the process of preparing an alert when the gunman was shot and killed by the RCMP. As part of the investigation, we are now able to say that the shooter acted alone. We are continuing to investigate whether anyone may have assisted him leading up to the incident. That is still part of the active investigation. We are also looking for information from anyone who may know anything about the incidents that happened on April 18th and April 19th. We have set up a tip line. The number is 902-720-5959. If you call, you may get voicemail, so please leave a detailed message along with your name and contact information, and an investigator will get back to you. Investigators are looking for any information that can assist with the investigation. If you know something, please call. Let our investigators decide the value of the information, because that piece of information you have may be an important part of the puzzle for investigators. Thank you.
Et maintenant en français. Merci, monsieur. Allocution de commandante. Ce qui s'est passé la fin de semaine dernière dans notre belle province chaleureuse nous a dévastés. Le chagrin des collectivités d'un bout à l'autre de la province est palpable. Je le ressens, nous le ressentons tous. Nous le voyons dans les bougies allumées, dans les fenêtres et sur les galeries des maisons. Le chagrin que ressentent les familles et les amis qui ont perdu des proches est inexprimable et a été rendu encore plus pénible par la pandémie de la COVID-19. La possibilité de se réunir pour apporter du réconfort est inexistante. La Division H de la GRC et moi-même présentons nos sincères condoléances à toutes les personnes touchées. Nous sommes témoins des vigiles à travers la province en l'honneur de vos proches et en témoignage de votre perte profonde, y compris le décédé de la gendarme Heidi Stevenson de la GRC, qui s'est consacrée à la protection de Néo-Écossais et dont la famille s'est enracinée dans la collectivité locale. Les incidents de la fin de la semaine auront des répercussions permanentes. On ne peut ignorer à quel point cela nous a tout changé. L'une des répercussions est un sentiment de malaise évident et pour certaines de la peur. Ces incidents ont été sans précédent, non seulement dans cette province, mais aussi de tout le pays. Il n'y a pas de manuel d'instruction pour décrire comment nous devrions nous sentir. Ce que je peux vous dire avec certitude, c'est que tous les employés de notre division, dans toutes les collectivités de la province, ont votre sécurité à cœur. Nous sommes là pour vous. Je suis très fière du dévouement de tous les employés de notre division et de leur engagement envers l'ensemble des Néo-Écossais. Cela n'a jamais été aussi évident que lors de notre intervention à la fin de semaine dernière. Nos policiers étaient là pour protéger les Néo-Écossais à partir du moment où nos opérateurs ont reçu les appels 911 et que nous sommes arrivés à Porte-à-Pic pour entamer des recherches exhaustives pour trouver le suspect. Et ils ont continué d'être là jusqu'au moment où nous avons arrêté le tireur. Notre travail consiste à enquêter de façon exhaustive sur ces incidents tragiques. C'est exactement ce que nous faisons. Nous savons que vous avez de nombreuses questions et vous cherchez des réponses. Nous avons des questions aussi. Nous savons également que vous attendez à ce que nous fassions un bon travail et nous voulons faire un bon travail pour vous. Cela nécessitera du temps. Je vous assure que nos équipes d'enquête travaillent jour et nuit et que des employés à tous les niveaux d'organisation contribuent à cette enquête. D'autres provinces et nos homologues fédéraux nous offrent énormément de soutien de nous, les remercions. Nous partageons votre chagrin, mais nous ressentons également votre soutien et votre résilience. Merci. Merci de vos condoléances, des bons vœux et de vos messages de soutien. En anglais, on dit Nova Scotia Strong. Et la Nouvelle-Écosse est en effet très forte. Il est rare que les mots nous réconfortent, mais sachez tout que nous sommes solidaires avec vous. Et du surintendant principal Leather. Je veux aussi donner mes condoléances aux familles affectuées par cette tragédie. C'est un temps difficile dans nos provinces et nous allons trouver notre chemin. Je veux assurer tous les Néo-Écossiens qu'on donne toutes les ressources nécessaires d'effectuer une enquête complète. Ça va prendre du temps, alors nous voulons être minutieux. Nous avons demandé et nous avons reçu support du Force canadienne pour l'équipement et d'aider les enquêteurs aux signes de crime. et des autres provinces et des autres partenaires fédéraux. Les néo-écossiens ont beaucoup de questions autour du sujet de qu'est-ce qui a passé, le pourquoi, les raisons pourquoi et quelles choses ont été faites et non faites. Assurez-vous que nous avons les mêmes questions et nous allons rechercher les réponses pendant notre enquête. Il y avait aussi beaucoup de questions au sujet de les raisons pourquoi nous n'avons pas utilisé le système provincial d'urgence. Au moment du appel initial, notre réponse était dynamique et fluide avec les membres qui ont utilisé leur formation de comprendre les choses qui ont été arrivées au même moment de rencontrer des choses inimaginables. Nous avons répondu à une fusillade à 22h26 le samedi, le 18 avril. Il a été déterminé d'être un homicide et nous avons immédiatement commencé de recherche à l'endroit, la location Porte-à-Pic et notifié les résidents de rester chez eux. Nous avons utilisé Twitter pour notifier les résidents d'un appel de fusillade dans le Porte-à-Pic et de rester dans la maison. Nous avons recherché l'endroit et nous avons découvert des autres victimes et beaucoup d'incendies. Nous avons établi un périmètre et notre enquête a continué pendant la nuit et le matin aussi, le matin de dimanche 19 avril. En réponse d'informations nouvelles qui ont indiqué que le suspect n'est pas dans le périmètre, à 8h02 le samedi matin, la GRC ont donné l'information en temps réel, real-time information, sur le compte de Twitter de la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse. Twitter nous donnant notre renseignement d'être partagé pendant les néo-écossiens, suite et donné par les nouvelles locales, provinciales et nationales. À 10h15, le 19 avril, le gestion d'urgence de la province de Nouvelle-Écosse ont contacté la GRC de nous offrant l'utilisation du système public d'urgence. Et nous étions en processus de préparer une notification urgente quand les tireurs ont été tirés et tués par la GRC. Comme partie de l'enquête, nous sommes maintenant capables de dire que le tireur a été seul et nous continuons d'enquêter si quelqu'un lui a aidé au moment de l'incident. C'est encore partie de notre enquête. Nous cherchons des renseignements de quelqu'un qui ont de informations autour de les incidents et qui ont été arrivés le 18-19 avril. Et nous avons effectué une astuce. Le numéro, c'est 902-720-5959. Si vous appelez, vous allez peut-être arriver au voicemail. S'il vous plaît, laissez un message avec votre nom et information pour vous contacter et un enquêteur va vous rappeler. Les enquêteurs cherchent autour de l'information qui peut nous aider avec l'enquête. Si vous avez des renseignements, s'il te plaît, vous appelez. Laissez nos enquêteurs décider et évaluer les renseignements parce que cette pièce petite d'information peut être très importante. Merci. Okay. We'll take some questions now from the floor. I would ask that you please provide your name and agency for the benefit of all participants. We will allow one question and one follow-up. Absolument.
J'aimerais, comme vous dites que vous avez informé la population, premièrement, sur Twitter d'un danger dans leur secteur, j'aimerais savoir, est-ce que c'est le protocole de la GRC d'informer la population sur les médias sociaux quand il y a un danger imminent qui guette la population?
OK. Juste un moment, André. OK. On utilisait d'habitude Twitter pour notifier le public des actions de la police pour maintenant. C'est la manière d'habitude.
Merci beaucoup. J'avais oublié de me nommer Olivier Lefebvre de Radio-Canada. Ma question de follow-up, ce serait, vous avez mentionné que vous avez de l'aide d'autres provinces et de l'aide du fédéral pour vous aider dans cette enquête que vous avez qualifiée de complexe et qui sera longue. Donc, je me demandais comment est-ce que ces autres provinces et le niveau fédéral vous aident à ce moment-ci?
OK. Nous avons les membres du quartier général de la GRC Nouvelle-Écosse et de l'enquête, aussi la GRC en Nouveau-Brunswick et les forces armées du Canada. Nous aidons maintenant. OK? Merci.
Good afternoon. Shayna Luck from CBC. Can you speak to how many injured persons who are not police officers may still be recovering in hospital?
I'm not aware of any injured persons recovering in hospital. I am aware of at least one injured person who sought medical attention at hospital, but has since been released.
And thank you. And the follow-up, can you speak to how and when did the RCMP first become aware that there was a man in the province with a fake but real-looking police car and a uniform?
Those details came in their totality to us early in the morning of Sunday after a key witness was located and interviewed. Prior to that time, we did not have all those details. The bulk of the details about our suspect came to us at that time.
Can you be specific about the time?
It's between 7 and 8. I don't have an exact time when that awareness came to the CIC commander. It's in the early morning hours of Sunday.
Hi there, Andrew Douglas from Frank Magazine. There isn't any public safety risk anymore. The shooter is dead, and since he's dead, we don't need to protect his right to a fair trial. What is behind your hesitance to provide details on what you know now? We understand that there are things that you don't know, but what is your hesitance to provide details on what you do know now?
So for instance, the timeline. I would like nothing more than to provide the media and public with the timeline, but it literally is still a work in progress. And it would be unfair and inappropriate for us to give that out in its current state. We are very close, I would say within a day, of providing a timeline with some detail, because appreciate, and I know I've said this at previous meetings here, we are still piecing together the movements of this subject. We believe we have identified the locations and sites that he attended and when he did, but there certainly are gaps that still need to be investigated.
Why does it have to be wrapped up in a bow in order to give that information? Why can't you tell us what you know?
The concern is always that we give information that is not completely accurate. And in a rush to provide the public and the media with that information, we err. And sometimes those mistakes can be impactful both to the investigation, to the victims and their families. So we're being very careful in terms of providing that information at the appropriate time.
That carefulness with providing information, you received a firearms call at 10:30. By the time you issued your first tweet, you had at least one homicide. I'm not clear on how many you knew about, but you had at least one. You described that as a firearms complaint, but then, which sort of vastly undersold it, but then you sort of oversold it with stay in your homes, a very confusing message. Are you satisfied with the messaging that went out by the RCMP on Twitter?
Yeah, very satisfied with the messaging, both with our CIC, so the commander at the time, in terms of his messaging to the officers that were in the area looking for this suspect, because remember, until the following day, we had some idea where the suspect was located, some theories, but we had no idea. And so the communications that were being provided were the best and clearest information that could be provided. And again, a distinct lack of information other than what we provided to the public by going to many of the residents in the Portapique area, for instance, and doing door knocks and checking these residents for the occupants and their safety.
Thank you, Andrew.
Good afternoon, Chief Superintendent Mike Tutton, reporter with the Canadian Press National News Service. Can you tell us what kind of guns the individual who did the shooting owned and had registered with the firearms program that the RCMP runs? And further to that, what kind of guns he used that night?
Well, certainly in regards to the firearms that were used by the suspect on the night, again, I referred previously to the CERT investigation that's ongoing. That investigation will, by now, have identified the firearms that were used, we believe, by the suspect, at least at the time of him being stopped by the police. So we don't have access to that information. That access is in CERT's holdings. As it relates to the nature of his licensing, whether he had an FAC or not, where he obtained the firearms from, that is very much still part of the ongoing investigation. In fact, it's a key part of the ongoing investigation.
You do not know what he was licensed to own at this point?
We have a fairly good idea, at least in Canada, that he did not have an FAC, Firearms Acquisition Certificate.
Thank you,
And
Mike.
were handguns
Thank you, Mike.
used in his attacks?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that. That aspect is still part of the investigation.
Very, very briefly, if possible, can you confirm how many people died of gunshots?
I can't, for the simple reason that's we're not in a position yet to know whether all of the victims died from gunshot wounds or from some of the structure fires, for instance, because we, as I've said previously, have found remains inside of residences, and so that's very much part of the ongoing investigation.
I have more questions. Between 11:30 and 8:30, so
Excuse me, we're going to take some questions from the teleconference. Nous allons d'abord répondre aux questions des participants. Veuillez indiquer votre nom et votre agence encore, et une question et un suite. Operator, go ahead, please.
Thank you, merci. Please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. Et appuyez sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. There will be a brief pause while participants register for questions. Il y a un court délai vous permettant de vous enregistrer dans la file d'attente pour la période de questions. Thank you for your patience. Merci de patienter. The first question, la première question, is from Serge Rustif from Sputnik News. Please go ahead. Your line was open. À vous la parole. Votre ligne est ouverte.
Good afternoon, and thank you for taking my question. I want to, first of all, offer my condolences to have been impacted by the tragedy. My understanding, the assailant located along the 102, and is one of the thoroughfares into the house. While motive, I understand, is for investigation. Have any information that indicates that this assailant and the destination was in fact the Halifax Dartmouth?
I can't hear the question.
No problem. Sir, I believe you're asking what the destination, the intended destination was along Highway 102. Is that your question?
My question is, was the intended destination Halifax, the Halifax Dartmouth area?
I'm sorry, I can't make you out. We're just going to have to move on.
Thank you, merci. The next question is from Christopher Nardi from the National Post. La prochaine question de Christopher Nardi. Please go ahead. Your line is open. The next question is from Christopher Nardi from National Post. Please go ahead. Your line is open. À vous la parole. Move to the next question. The next question is from Michael McDonald from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead. Your line is open. À vous la parole. Votre Canadian Press.
Hello, Chief Inspector. I understand from your comments today that it wasn't until 8:02 a.m. on Sunday that police realized the suspect had left the perimeter. Could you tell me how large that perimeter was?
I wouldn't have the dimensions of the perimeter. I know there was an internal or two perimeters that were established, but I don't have that information here with me.
And as a follow-up, you mentioned that the Emergency Measures Organization had reached out to the RCMP at 10:15 a.m. to ask about an emergency alert, but one was still being prepared when the suspect was shot and killed in Enfield just before noon. Can you tell me why it took so long for the RCMP to act on that request?
Yes, the original call to the RCMP was to one of our members here at headquarters, and you can appreciate then there were a series of phone calls that had to be made to find the officer in charge on the evening and to speak to the CIC, that's the incident commander, to have the conversation about the issuing of a message. So a lot of the delay was based on communications between the EMO and the various officers, and then a discussion about what the message would be, how it would be constructed and what it would say. So in that hour and a bit, in that amount of time of consultation is when the subject was killed, as we know, at 11:26.
Thank you, merci. The next question, la prochaine question, is from Thomas Stagel from CBC National News. Please go ahead. Your line is open. À vous la parole. Votre ligne est ouverte.
Thank you. If you knew the suspect had a fake but real-looking RCMP vehicle sometime between 7 and 8 on Sunday morning, why wait more than 2 hours to warn the public about that detail?
The information about the vehicle, the clothing, took some time to learn from the one witness. And once that information was compiled, it was immediately tweeted by our communications section.
And just to clarify, presumably the picture came from the witness of the vehicle.
I can't speak to that, but we did interview a witness, and sometime after that, the material went out. That would be the picture of the vehicle and the suspect's photo, and that was on Twitter.
Right. We spoke to a witness today, the brother of a victim, who told us he hid in the woods in Portapique on Saturday night, did not see or hear police coming for 4 hours. Can you explain to him and to others what activity the police were doing during those 4 hours for him not to hear or see them?
Well, as I stated earlier, I described that there were 2 perimeters that were established. And so, while that fellow may have thought there weren't police in the vicinity, there were a large number of police officers, both in vehicles and on foot, in Portapique.
Can you explain what kind of work is being done to retrace the real RCMP uniform the suspect wore?
It's a matter that's under investigation, but it's a key component of the investigation, and we're working very hard to do exactly that, track the source of the uniform. It's a key element of the investigation.
And just a last quick clarification on that. You said earlier that you're looking for anyone who may have assisted the gunman in the lead up to these attacks. Could that include providing him with RCMP gear? Just any clarity on what that assistance may entail?
It would include those sorts of, it would include any number of elements in terms of support. You can just imagine whether it's transportation, the weapons, the uniforms, the vehicle itself, associates here and elsewhere. These are all the elements of the investigation that are currently being explored.
Okay, we'll allow one more question, please.
Merci, thank you. The next question, la prochaine question, is from Audrey Ruel-Monceau de la Presse. Please go ahead, your line is open. À vous la parole, votre ligne est ouverte.
Thanks. Hi. My question is, when Wortman hit the road with his fake RCMP car, did he pull people over and executed the driver?
That's part of the, that is definitely a part of our investigation. We're not certain at this time. That's again, a concern, something that we're looking at very closely.
Okay, a follow-up. I've heard that the supervisor gave the authorization to the officer on Sunday morning to bump the gunman car. Isn't it against the intervention rules?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Supervisor gave the authorization to the officer to bump the car of Wortman, but in the intervention rules, like it's against the rules. They are not supposed to do that. So it was like an extraordinary authorization, right?
Are you talking about with the subject, the suspect in this case? Yeah.
The suspect,
yes.
And both like Stevenson and Morrison, there was an authorization given by a supervisor that they were allowed exceptionally to bump the car, like to hit the car with their car.
I understand your question now, thank you. And that would definitely fall within the realm of the CERT investigation, because now you're talking about the movements of the suspect up into his 1126, and that would definitely fall within the realm of their inquiries. Thank you.
Okay, I have a last question, please.
Thank
It's
you
a
very
follow-up
much.
about the question
That's all
that
for
has
now.
been asked before.
What else can you say about the other investigation that
now,
was
thank
referred
you.
to CERT that they kicked back to the RCMP? What can you say about that?
That's all for now.
It's no longer under the CERT purview. What can you say about that? What's the...
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Merci tout le monde.